Are you ready to get all too real? This is All Too Real Podcast. This is All Too Real Podcast.
Okay, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the All Too Real Podcast. My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is
Matthew Haas.
Yes, that's you. Anyways, today we're normally we cover like a complete like biopic or a complete based on a true story type movie for this, but this one is based on a true story, but it's a fictionalized version of a true story. It's the life of Cameron Crowe. When he was a teenager, basically, but in the movie he's called William Miller, and it's called Almost Famous. Do you remember what year this came out, Matt?
Yeah, 2000. Actually, it came out September 15th, 2000. So
wow,
two days. Recording is 2 days after
it came out.
The 19-year anniversary.
University.
Yeah, university.
So, It's interesting. I mean, the movie's not really real, but we figured we can cover it for this because it's based on a true story. Yeah. So it's within our parameters. We're not running out of movies. We just really like this one. Anyway, so first let's jump right into All Too Real, the name of the show. Mm-hmm. The All Too Real section. You need two things that are surprisingly real from this movie. I mean, I don't know if you want to give like a little first before we go into that. Do you want to give like a little background of the movie and like what it's about? I mean, nothing. We don't have to go through the whole movie, but basically what the premise of the movie is.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, if you want to describe that, you can, Matthew.
Okay, well, it's about this kid named William Miller who's 15 years old. He's about to graduate high school because he skipped kindergarten and fifth grade, and he's really into rock music because of his older sister turned him on to that music. And he's a writer. He wants to be a journalist for music. So he's been writing these articles for like underground papers, and he's been sending his articles to a journalist named Lester Bangs, who was a real person. And he ends up giving him an assignment to write 1,000 words on Black Sabbath concert that they were playing, and he can't get in the concert hall. So he's about to give up, and then he sees this tour bus coming in, and it's for a band called Stillwater. They get him in, and they want him to basically tour with them because it wasn't just them. There was someone from the record company called him up. His name was Ben. What was his name? Ben Fontoro.
Yeah, it was from Rolling Stone.
Rolling Stone magazine, a real person.
Yeah,
called him up and wanted him to travel with the band to do a story on them on their tour. Mm-hmm. And then that's basically the movie. Is just going on tour with them as a 15-year-old kid. His mom, gave him a bunch of stipulations about what he's not allowed to do on tour, and to make sure that he doesn't miss any tests or make sure that he shows up for his graduation on time and stuff like that. Nobody really knew his age except for one person, his friend Penny Lane, that was on tour with them. Mm-hmm.
And William Miller is played by Patrick Fugit for most of the movie. He's played by a different actor when he was little. Mm-hmm. But yeah. The movie also stars Kate Hudson as Penny Lane, Billy Crudup as Russell Hammond, the lead guitarist of the band, Frances McDormand as Elaine Miller, his mom. You have Zooey Deschanel as Anita Miller, his older sister. Jason Lee as Jeff Bebe, the lead singer of Stillwater. Philip Seymour Hoffman as Lester Bangs. And there's, smaller parts in the movie from people such as Jimmy Fallon, Anna Paquin, Fairuza Balk, Noah Taylor, Angianero. There's Rainn Wilson and Mark Maron, among other people. Jay Baruchel. Yeah,
everyone was in this movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Paulie Perrette, Zach Ward, Kevin Sussman, a bunch of people I've heard of. Okay, anyways, yeah. So it was a good movie, though. I mean, and it basically is kind of almost like a love story in a way, but love of music, but also the love that Penny Lane has for Russell Hammond. Also, the love that William has for Penny, in a way. You know, it's kind of a interesting dynamic there.
Yeah.
So, what are two things that are surprisingly real in this movie, Matt?
Well, let's see. So, Russell Hammond, he was played by Billy Crudup. Crudup,
I think. I'm not sure.
He was kind of based off of Glenn Frey from the Eagles, guitar player for the Eagles. And he actually told Cameron Crowe that, like, hey, just make us look cool. Like, he actually, that line actually comes from, according to Crowe, that line actually, like, verbatim comes from Glenn Frey, like, saying, like, look, just make us look cool.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to, be an actual journalist. Like, just, and he kind of, like, they kind of, like, mixed characters a little bit because, like, he also kind of had some of the personality of Steve Bebe, which was the lead singer, played by Jason Lee.
Jeff Bebe.
Sorry, yeah, did I say Jesse Bebe?
You said Steve.
Oh, Steve, yeah. Jeff Bebe. So, like, like, for example, like, this is something that Jeff Bebe would say in the movie, but he apparently told Cameron Crowe how to maintain a drinking buzz at a party, and he said that, yeah, what you want to do is that you want to go into a party and you drink 2 beers at once, and then after that you drink 1 beer every hour and 15 minutes. Like, apparently he had a science to it.
Wow.
It's like, that way you maintain a buzz, but you don't get, like, too embarrassing or whatever. So I thought that was kind of funny. And so that's one thing that was basically true. It maybe not, totally, because it's still kind of a fictional a fictional movie, but
yeah.
And of course, obviously, the other part that's true is that Cameron Crowe really did tour with the Allman Brothers. I think that was the band that Stillwater was based off of. But he had also done, like, interviewed other bands too. Like I think he interviewed Led Zeppelin at one point. I don't think he toured with them.
Isn't that where the Golden God things comes from anyway?
Well, so. Robert Plant. Yeah, according to the Hammer of the Gods, which is a sort of a very loose biography of Led Zeppelin, which this book has been called into question many times by historians. It's more of a hagiography. It's kind of just but apparently, Robert Plant got really high or drunk one night and got on, I think, on top of a roof of I'm not sure. I think it was actually a hotel building in real life, which is even more dangerous because they were, like, so many floors high, screaming, "I am a golden god." And but it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of a mythology. It's kind of like in some ways, kind of like our generation doesn't really get a chance to, like, just make stuff up anymore because everything is filmed and recorded immediately. So, like, nobody can really get away with saying something like that or being able to live it down because
you can't have an apocryphal story.
No, not really. Yeah, which is kind of sad. But so that's true, at least according to. And I'll give a third one because that's kind of
go ahead.
That's sort of like mythology. We're not really sure, but the character of, like, Elaine, William's mother, and sister, is kind of based off Cameron Crowe's own mother and sister because their dad died, and then, like, he said, like, the whole family dynamic got just really effed up, and they, his sister and his mom weren't really speaking to each other anymore. So he kind of made this movie, and then he kind of made the end scene of the movie because at the end, his sister is a stewardess, and she sees William just sitting down in the chair at the airport, and then she says that she'll take him anywhere in the world that he wants to go to, so he makes him take him home. Yeah. So they're kind of forced to have some kind of reunion or whatever. And he did that kind of, like, after the movie came out, he sort of like threw that in there, like wanting to have his sister and mom like do a family dinner like one evening or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they really patched things up
totally
after that.
Yeah.
But that kind of happened. He kind of threw that in there as almost like a Hail Mary pass to like hopefully that they would
patch things up,
see that scene and kind of like maybe think twice about just not talking to each other anymore.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. I think, I mean, it's very interesting, you know, how you can take your own life story and change a few things here and there and make it a fictional story, which is kind of cool. I like that he did that. Do you want to take a quick break here, Matt, and then we'll come back, or is that all you had for the all two reels?
Yeah, sure. We can take a break.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Hi, everybody. This is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast you're listening to right now. With me, as always, is
Matthew Hassa.
Yeah, and we're here to tell you about our really cool other podcast called All Too Real 2. And what do we do on that show, Matt?
We watched the greatest direct-to-video sequels of all time, and then we report on them.
And we also talk about other pop culture cool things like video games and conspiracy theories and other awesome things. So if any of that sounds fun to you and you enjoy hearing my voice and Matt's voice,
as you should.
I mean, of course. Tune in anywhere you get podcasts to All Too Real 2. Bye-bye.
You won't find a better quantum physicist than Dr. Graw Horatio.
How do you do? I am Dr. Graw Horatio, a scientist.
However, like many of us, he's useless without a good cup of coffee.
Thanks to coffee, I can accomplish more in a week than a regular scientist can in a month, with just as many psychotic breakdowns. It's quite economical in the long run.
You can hear Dr. Horatio and his exciting adventures in the upcoming radio comedy, Magus Elgar. Visit MagusElgar.com to download your copy today.
And we are back. My voice is kind of gone today, guys. I'm sorry, but today, guys.
Today, guys. What?
Yeah. But no, it's gone. I kind of lost it when I've got a little bit of a bronchitis that I'm getting over. So excuse me. Anyways.
No excuses.
Okay. So the next section that we have is All Too Fake. It's this movie is kind of hard to do this with because it's a fictionalized version of a true story. So there's a lot of fake stuff in this. You know, like his name wasn't William Miller.
Right.
There's no band called Stillwater.
Well, there is a band called Stillwater, but
not that band.
It's not. It's a totally different band.
Yeah, but
they were actually from that same era too.
That's weird.
They were from like 1972, 73. Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, and like we said, this film is based on his experiences touring with rock bands Poco, the Allman Brothers Band, Led Zeppelin, Eagles, and Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Oh, so he did tour with Led Zeppelin. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, this is based on all of those, and they kind of just condensed it into one band. I mean, another thing that's interesting, I mean, Penny Lane is a fictional character, but she's based on a friend of Cameron Crowe's whose name is Penny Trumbull, who goes by the nickname Penny Lane, but it's I-E instead of Y. So that's kind of fake, but kind of real.
Kind of real, yeah, because it's a real person, but she didn't do the things that she did in the movie.
And Stillwater, one thing that is fake for sure is Jason Lee's not singing. Jason Lee, who plays the lead singer, Jeff Bebe, is not singing. You can tell. I mean, it doesn't really sound like Jason Lee's natural voice. So, yeah.
Right.
That's something fake.
So we got one.
Yeah.
Well, we got two, technically.
Yeah.
Penny Lane. It's and also what is fake is, well, I'm not sure if it's fake or not, but there's a scene in the movie where Penny takes a bunch of Quaaludes. And Quaaludes were a sleeping medication back in the day. They don't make them anymore. But according to some people from that day, what it was that they were designed to put you to sleep.
Yeah.
But some people discovered, either by accident or on purpose, I don't know, that if you could get past that threshold, it would give you like a really sense of euphoria. So people would try to intentionally like do like uppers to keep themselves awake so that they could then get past that threshold and then they'd be feeling really good. But in the movie, she took like an entire bottle of Quaaludes and she was still awake. I mean, she was drowsy and stuff, but I don't know, but I'm just guessing that if you took an entire bottle of extremely super heavy sleeping medication, that you would have been conked out. I mean, you wouldn't be even able to slur your words like she was, unless she had just taken them at that very exact moment. But I don't know. So I don't know if we can really count that as a fake thing because that's a subjective kind of thing.
Well, since we can't really give a lot of fake things. Let's here's some interesting facts that I've just found right now about the movie. Cameron Crowe's mother likes the film except for the barefoot part. Frances McDormand's character of Elaine Miller is based on Crowe's mom, Alice, who has appeared in most of his movies. She's got cameos in most of his movies. Before production began, she read the script and liked the mother wasn't too shrill, but it bothered her that Elaine walked around the house without shoes and socks.
Why?
She's troubled by the fact that people will think she went barefoot. Crowe told Amazon UK, which is it's kind of like saying, well, the murder is fine, but you had me commit the murder in a red dress, and I never wore red. That's yeah.
It means her house. Walk around barefoot.
And Cameron Crowe, he wrote with his then wife Nancy Wilson of Heart most of the music for the movie. So yeah, most of the songs in the film, that are not obviously Elton John and Cat Stevens songs and stuff like that.
She wrote those too.
No.
Yeah.
He wrote those with her. Despite being nominated for 4 Oscars and winning 1 for Best Original Screenplay, the movie failed to break even at the box office. That's sad.
It is. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, really.
It's a good movie. I like it a lot.
Well, they said they didn't really release it into a lot of theaters at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
They only did it to like 130 theaters or something like that at first. So and then like a month or two later, they because one of the things I read too, I think it was from that same article, he said something like, we made a movie about 1973, but lost to a movie from 1973. Because I think they re-released The Exorcist at that time.
That's crazy.
Which I thought The Exorcist was from 1969, but I don't
know.
know.
It's in the 70s.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And the character of Penny Lane is partially based on Liv Tyler's mom, which is interesting. Bebe Buell dated a lot of rock stars back in the day, including Todd Rundgren and Steven Tyler, Liv's dad. During an interview between Buell and Crowe in Talk Magazine, Buell told Crowe about how in real life she twirled in concert debris just like Penny Lane does in the movie. So that I once did that in Madison Square Garden. I couldn't believe how small it looked without anybody in it. It looked like a basketball court. These rooms just come to life and took so huge and vibrant when they were filled with people. Yeah. So and Crowe also revealed that Jason Lee's character Jeff Bebe, who is based on Paul Rogers of Bad Company and Free, was named after Bebe Buell. So the last name Bebe was taken from her first name. So that's kind of cool. It's and like you said something about the movie helped reunite his mom and sister, which is kind of cool. Here I'm reading on this, so that's and the little bonus fact here, the Guess Who T-shirt that Philip Seymour Hoffman wears was Cameron Crowe's vintage Guess Who T-shirt. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so I don't know. Do you want to take another break here, and then we'll come back with our all two likes?
I think that is a terrible idea.
Really?
No, not really. It's fine.
Well, you know what? I think you're a terrible idea.
My parents thought that too. Sorry.
Were you an accident?
I was trying to think of something clever to say. No, I don't think so.
No, you're not a terrible idea, Matt. You're a great idea. You're the best Matthew Haas you can be.
Okay, cool.
We'll be right back, folks.
Hi, folks. This is Michael E. Cullen II from the podcast that you're listening to right now, along with
Manager Matthew Haas.
You got promoted?
Yes.
Damn it. Okay, anyways, folks, do you like the show Superstore? I don't know. I asked the folks and nobody's answering me.
Because they're not here.
Oh,
but we love
damn it. Yeah, we love it, though. Okay, folks, if you like it as much as we do, you're really going to like the Super Story podcast, which is a podcast where Matthew and I go episode by episode and give our little opinions and thoughts on it. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. Just depends on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
And, so if you like this podcast and like our little crazy banter,
then you should definitely check this out. Or I might get sad. And when I get sad, it gets pretty sad.
yeah,
So
I can't deal with him when he's sad.
no one can really. So
Yeah. So check out Super Story Podcast right here where you get this podcast, Super Story Podcast.
All right, and we're back for the smooth sounds of All Too Real Here.
ASMR channel.
On All Too Real Podcast, where we're talking about Almost Famous, a film directed by Cameron Crowe in the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
So, let's move on to All Too Lakes. Likes.
Oh, likes. Okay, I thought you said
All Two
lake.
Lakes.
I was like, okay.
I need you to name me 2 lakes.
Oh, shoot. Lake Huron and Lake Erie.
Okay. Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. Okay,
right.
We're done with that section. So now, speaking of Stillwater. Anyways, I don't know if lakes are Stillwater, though.
I'm not sure.
What are 2 scenes in the movie that you liked? You can start with one if you want, Matt, and then I'll go to one that I liked.
Well, I really like the scene where William's going to the concert to do a story on Black Sabbath. And, he can't get in. He keeps telling the guy, I'm for Cream Magazine. I'm here to do a story about Black Sabbath. Guy slams the door in his face, says, "You're not on the list," and does it like 3 times because he's afraid to go up to what he thinks are groupies because they're kind of taunting him playfully, not really in a mean-spirited way. And then Penny Lane's going to try to get him in, but then Stillwater ends up pulling in with their tour bus, and then he gets in with Stillwater because he kind of just talks about how great he thinks they are, and he uses all this really colorful language, because he's a writer. So he gets in there, and then he's just talking with Jeff Bebe because Jeff Bebe's kind of like just riffing on stuff like talking about like the spirit of rock and roll and like rock and roll can save the world and all this kind of stuff. And at the same, while he's doing this, he's doing stuff like he's putting shaving cream on his head, which I'm not sure what that does, but
it might have been like hair. Like at the time, they did use a lot of times they'd use like shaving cream instead of like hair gel because they didn't really have that at the time, or hair cream. There was Brillo cream and stuff that was kind of like shaving cream as well too. I don't know. I can't remember the scene, so I don't remember if it was actual shaving cream, but I know they did sometimes use that to, fix their do. Yeah.
So he's kind of doing that. He's just walking around. He's got a beer in his hand, and he's just riffing, sounding like a complete idiot. And he's like, that thing, that indefinable thing that, just makes it, click. And then William's like the buzz. He's like, yeah, that's right, the buzz. And then he's like you saying you like the song Fever Dog, that is the fucking buzz.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that kind of whatever about that particular scene, because also too, William's machine is, because, back in the day, people didn't have cell phones that they could just record things on. They actually had to carry around big ass machines with tapes in it and a microphone attached to the machine, and his machine is like making like this weird clunky sound, and he's like hitting the machine to make sure that he doesn't miss, you know, anything that the great Jeff Bebe says. And like, I don't know, just the great that Jeff overall Bebe thing, because like I've been, you know, like I've had friends in bands and stuff like that, you know, here and there in the past, and like there is something kind of cool of just like hanging out like in the the rehearsal room, because like that's usually where like people are just kind of like being themselves. They're not really trying to like look cool or anything like that. They're just, you know, that they're not really trying to like impress anyone there. It's just you're just kind of hanging out with your buddies at that point. And like he's kind of trying to like be their friend, even though he was kind of told not to by Ben Fontoro. I always say his name wrong.
Yeah, I can't.
And also Lester Baines told him to don't try to be their friend, because they're not really going to be real friends to you. They're just trying to get you to write sanctimonious stories about the genius of rock stars. That's another great scene too, the diner scene. But I don't want to give too many away.
Yeah. Well, I think my favorite thing is the phone call where William's mother calls, and then Russell Hammond picks up the phone and talks to his mom, and then she's basically lecturing Russell about life and stuff, and then he gets off the phone, and she's like, "That kind of freaked me out," or whatever. She kind of freaked me out, you know, or something.
Right.
That was kind of cool. I liked that scene. I don't know what else to say about it, but I like Frances McDormand's performance, and Billy Crudup's, and that's cool too. So it's I don't know.
We got a cat sitting on a table right now.
Yeah.
Now she ran off.
Yeah, we have a cat here. I'm cat sitting right now, and so we moved the studio to another location, and yes, there's a cat who's now chasing a bug that is flying around. I believe it's a fly. Anyways,
it's a fly. Yeah.
Yes, that's why they call them flies, because they fly.
Even though lots of things fly, which is weird.
Yes. So we should call all things that fly flies.
Like, why did they get the special designation for fly when
But then they also call that thing in your pants a fly.
Which doesn't make any sense. I don't know
either.
That's weird.
Words, man.
Words are
flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup.
I guess there can be a crude way of something flies out after you unzip it, if that was the reason why people...
Yeah, but they call it on, like, people without penises pants too.
Yeah, maybe now, but I don't know if they did it back then. I don't know, whatever. There's probably no reason why it was even named that.
People without penises pants. It's my name of my next movie.
It's a good band name.
So yeah, I don't know. What other scene did you like? Anything else?
No, nothing.
Nothing else? You hated the rest of the movie?
Yeah, it was terrible. No. Whoa, she just jumped really high there.
Nice.
Well, I really like the scene where Penny Lane's dancing by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing Cat Stevens' The Wind.
Yeah.
From his album Teaser and the Fire Cat, track number 1.
Yes.
I'm a huge Cat Stevens fan, so.
I listen to the wind of my soul.
Yeah.
Where I'll end up, only God really knows.
And he found out because then he became a Muslim like 5 years after that song was written.
Yes.
6 years, something like that. I don't know.
Yusuf Islam.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that was a cool scene. I like the extended version better too, though, like in the extended cut. Because there are 2 versions of this movie. Mm-hmm. There's a movie. The extended cut has actually got a different name for the movie. It's called Untitled. That's the name of the movie. Mm-hmm. So
that's what he wanted to name it.
Yeah,
originally.
They really wouldn't let him though, which is funny. Right. So I think my second probably favorite scene is the scene at the end of the movie where Penny Lane gives Billy Crudup the wrong address and gives him the address to William, and he ends up at the house, and it's just the awkwardness there when he comes to the house, and then just the interaction between William and Russell. It was pretty cool. I don't know if any of that's based on any kind of true stories, but it was kind of cool, though. It was just a really cool scene.
Yeah, I like that because what precipitated that... Ooh, that was a fancy word. Not really. But what led on to that was the Russell the Russell, well, the band, I guess, and Russell as like the leader, denied like almost all of the claims of the story he wrote. So the Rolling Stones just scrapped his story because they just thought he was like some psychotic fan that was just lied about everything.
Yeah.
And it was all true. And then so a lot of people, like all of the Band-Aids, which is what they were called, not groupies, they were called Band-Aids because they didn't really necessarily just sleep around with the band because they wanted to. It was because
they did it for the love of the music.
Yeah, they actually liked the music and the people, making the music. So they all pretty much kind of churned on Russell because they all found out that because they really liked William because he was like very innocent, and they kind of like, looked after him. Of course, they had sex with him too, so that's kind of interesting dynamic. But but anyway, so he goes into William's house, and then he's like seeing pictures on the wall, and he sees William, and then he's kind of like putting the pieces together, like, oh, okay, I know what's going on. But I did want to say something though, I forgot.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like Cameron Crowe got the idea for the title Almost Famous because he was thinking about like the people who like hang out with the bands, or people who know the band, like people who kind of are off to the side, like on the stage, like they're not in the crowd listening or watching the concert.
Yeah.
They're like, and then he said like those people always seem kind of almost famous because they're like in with the band, but they're not really in the band.
Yes.
Like School of Rock would say, we're not in the band, but
You know what's even cooler than being almost famous?
What?
Being Toledo famous. And you can get Toledo famous shirts from my friend Chad at crutchwear.com. I'm just giving him a free plug because he's cool. So anyways. Yes. Chad Schultz at crutchwear.com.
there you go.
Yep. He probably doesn't listen to this, but I'm going to give him a shout out because I want to get one of those shirts sometime soon. I haven't yet. So anyways, and people were knocking him off and being crazy. So that's, but whatever. Yeah, I think those are like our favorite scenes, right? And I mean, here's some more little trivia about the movie. So, we can go into that to, give us a little bit of more time here on the episode, folks. Sarah Polley had originally been cast as Penny Lane, but she ultimately had to drop out due to another commitment, paving the way for Kate Hudson to take the role. And then speaking of Hudson, she was originally cast in the movie as William's sister. But when, things opened up, she got Penny Lane role, and Zooey Deschanel came in only her second movie ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other people considered for the role were Brittany Murphy, Mina Savari, Anne Heche, Neve Campbell, Jenna Elfman, Bridget Moynihan, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Rose McGowan, Rebecca Romaine. They all auditioned for the role of Penny Lane.
Wow.
Some of them I think could have worked, and some of them, nah. There was Cameron Crowe actually had written the part of Russell Hammond for Brad Pitt, who was cast in the film. Unfortunately, after months of working on the film, Pitt was man enough to admit that he just didn't get it, and the role was recast with Billy Crudup.
Yeah, I could see it just being better with him.
And like I said, the bootleg version is called Untitled, so the extended cut. After a special screening of the film for Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin granted Crowe the rights to use 4 songs. It's the first time that Zeppelin had allowed one of their songs to be licensed for a movie since Fast Time at Ridgemont High, which Cameron Crowe had actually written.
That was also based off a real life experience too, because he was one of these people that always looked really like youthful.
Yeah,
he had already graduated high school for
when he did that.
They actually sent him to pretend to be a high school student. I think.
and do an undercover story.
So he's basically just writing.
I actually, there's a book, I can't remember what it is, called Fast Times at whatever the actual school was that he went to. And I remember reading that when I was a kid or something at one time. Yeah. It's interesting.
That was also Nicolas Cage's first movie, I think.
Yes. And,
No Lines.
Yeah. And he was credited as Nicholas Coppola.
Yeah, because that's his real name.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, not real name, but whatever, his given name. Because Nicolas Cage can make up his own identity because he's Nicolas Cage. I mean,
Yeah. Well, he took it from Luke Cage, the comic book character.
okay.
He's like one of his favorite comic book characters. So that's
cool.
where he got Cage from. Yeah. Early on in Crowe's career, Eric Stoltz vowed that he'd be in every single Cameron Crowe film. Unfortunately, that streak was broken with Almost Famous, but not for lack of trying. Stoltz was nearly cast as David Bowie, and when that didn't work out, there was a marquee in the film that said, "Coming August 11th, The Crazy World of Eric Stoltz." Unfortunately, that shot was cut from the film.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, both Jack Black and Jon Favreau auditioned for the role of Lester Bangs, which eventually went to Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah. Hoffman only filmed 4 days on the film. And he had a flu the entire time.
Wow.
Which is why his voice sounds kind of
Yeah, it's really scratchy and
stuffy and stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing because like his scenes are the ones that really pop a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's only in a few scenes, but he's kind of like the cosmic mentor to William throughout the movie. Like whenever William is like in a jam, he calls up Lester and Lester tells him like what to do or what
He's
to
like
say.
his Gandalf
Yeah,
or his or his I don't know, Obi-Wan. Peter Frampton served as a music consultant on the film, and he wrote 2 of the Stillwater songs along with Crowe and his wife and his then wife Nancy Wilson. So yeah,
that's cool.
Interestingly, an 18-year-old Cameron Crowe wrote the liner notes for Frampton Comes Alive. For the album Frampton Comes Alive, which is like one of the most famous albums of all time. Cameron Crowe wrote the liner notes to that when he was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I don't know how many millions of copies that album sold. It was ridiculous.
I can't remember. There was like some kind of joke in like one of the Wayne's World movies or something about like where that was like just issued in every home. Like they just
came with the home.
Yeah. Something I can't remember. I'm probably butchering it big time,
Wow.
but it was something like that. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. That's probably good for now about good facts.
Good facts, not bad facts.
No
Good
bad
ones.
facts.
Yeah.
I can come up with some bad ones.
Oh, really?
The things at the end of the movie with the words rolling up and down the screen, those are
Yeah.
called credits.
You don't like those?
I'm just giving bad facts because they're just kind
okay.
of bad.
Oh, I see. I got
Yeah,
you.
they're not good.
They're not that they're bad. What happens, not what
No.
bad, but telling about them is bad.
Yeah, it's just kind of,
Useless.
pointless.
Right.
Yeah. This movie had both visuals and sound.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
And interestingly enough, actors.
Right.
Yes.
I will say though that of the 4 Led Zeppelin songs, they played my absolute favorite of Led Zeppelin song, which is of course "Stairway to Heaven." No, of course, anyone who listens to Zeppelin is not going to.
They denied him the rights to that song for this movie.
Good, because it's too overplayed. But they played "Tangerine."
Yeah.
And I think that's probably my favorite Led Zeppelin song because it's so unlike all their other stuff. It's not heavy. It's not really a ballad per se, but it's not a rock song. It's just a nice, cool, mellow song. And they play at the very end when Stillwater's on tour on their bus, not a plane anymore because they almost got into a plane crash, and that was after they already protested on doing.
That was probably
tours of the
based on the
plane.
Leonard Skinner plane crash.
Oh,
I
probably.
bet you.
Well, they all died, not all
Yeah.
of them, but most of them died in that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think there was some other thing where there was like almost an accident in a plane, and everybody started like confessing all their like guilt and sins and things that they were afraid to say and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. I don't know. Anything else you want to say here, Matt, before we close out this episode?
No, just watch it if you haven't seen it. It's
Yeah.
a really good movie. It didn't.
And if you got this far throughout our podcast and you haven't seen the movie yet, You're doing this backwards, folks.
Well, we didn't give him too much.
No, we didn't, but still.
Because it's kind of a long movie. It's like 2.5 hours.
But I think it helps if you watch the movie before you listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I would recommend that myself. But yeah, it's a good movie.
I'm not going to condemn you if you do the opposite, but you can do what you want.
Yeah, do your thing. Right?
I mean, you could watch some Looney Tunes and then listen to us. It won't make sense, but
I mean, I guess. Or you could do like Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, and then listen to us as you're listening to Dark Side of the Moon.
And we sync up.
Yeah, at the same time.
It's weird, like the part where, where that one song comes in.
That one song, yeah.
I just blanked on all of the songs on that.
The whole thing about syncing up is that
it's stupid.
You can do that with almost anything. At a certain point, something's going to sync up at a part of a song, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, that's a perfect timing." It doesn't mean that it was intentional.
Yeah,
but
I mean, if you take Childish Gambino's first album and play it with Apocalypse Now, it's opening. It's eye opening, man.
Oh, wow.
I'm just making that up. I don't know. Anyways,
I think you have to play the album like 3 times because the movie's like almost 3 hours long.
You don't have to watch the last 2 hours of the movie. Anyways, I guess that's all for us today, folks. Yep. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and be sure to follow us on social media. Like our pages there. All
the social media. Every social media.
We've got T-shirts on TeePublic. Make sure you check those out.
Good T-shirts.
Yes. Fun ones from this podcast and our other 2 shows. Super Story Podcast and All Too Real 2. And we've also got Patreon if you want to, help support the show. The money just helps making these episodes sound better, look better, and not look better because this is an audio format.
Well, we might look better.
Yeah, we'll look better. If you give the money, I'll buy some snappy clothes and maybe I don't know, some makeup and wait, what?
Some beard oil, maybe.
Yeah, we'll buy some
makeup too. Why not?
We'll buy some beard oil from Matt, and we'll get some eyeshadow and some rouge. Yep.
Cool. I'm not sure what rouge is, but it sounds pretty cool.
It's the stuff that makes your cheeks red.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you, folks. I'm weird.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real Podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.